girl is destitute.
What conspiracy theory do you have?
You're the Feyre.
I'm Feyre. He hates Tamlin. He's also a bit of a petty bitch.
And yet, she decides, let me just shoot my shot and see it. I'm like, girl. Hello.
Hello, Cereal Squad.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
This, it's like very surreal over here.
Yeah.
And like, it's so funny. We were just talking about how like exhausted we kind of both are.
Yeah.
And I feel a little bit like Feyre at the end of the
Right.
chapter.
Broken.
I mean, you've been working way more, so like I feel like, you know, especially you probably feel it, but yeah, I mean, even just mentally, like the spoiler-free episode went great, but even just like thinking about like all the stuff we talked about, I'm like, man, this is a like exhausting couple of chapters.
Yeah, it is. And I think even like separating it out the way that we have, you know, I've never read it in this way before,
No.
right? You always just kind of rage through the end. And so it's really fascinating. Also, if anyone's watching the YouTube, I'm so sorry. The sun is like coming in and then leaving drastically and then returning really intensely. So I'm pretty sure I'm probably blown out right now. But
Oh, you're fine now. It felt like the cauldron just like blasted you.
yeah, no, I'm getting like god light over here, like every like 2 to 3 minutes. So, yeah, apologies if anyone's watching this one, because yeah, and it's already starting to go away. All right, anywho,
San
yeah,
Francisco.
I know exactly. I've never read it. I've never read the book this way with like splitting it up like this, and so it's like really fascinating to kind of be able to sit in these chapters a little bit more than I think I really ever have. So, you know, friendly reminder, Surreal Squad spoiler team, chapters 43 and 44 for this week. We left where we just left Feyre was the chapter where the music gets sent down to her, the infamous music that happened, and then the infamous party where Tamlin takes her into a closet and they almost have sex, and then Rhys ends up kind of saving them and makes out with her, and then actually ends up like exposing that he's like actually been a good guy, you know.
Right.
So that's kind of where we just left off. But then these two chapters are the final task, and then basically where Feyre dies. That's the two chapters that were for this week. And yeah, splitting it up in this way.
So weird.
It's so weird because I just don't, I think that's the reason why I maybe didn't remember some of these like little bits.
Same. Oh, I was surprised by so much in these two. Like, I mean, just off the bat, even like kind of smaller things, like how, like we talked about the spoiler-free episode, how reverent all the Fae are when she's like coming in for the final task. Like, I'd forgotten, like by this point, they actually are like, oh, like she's actually like trying to save us, you know? You know, part of me, I mean, we know there's a level of depravity with some of these fairies in general, right? Like they love watching torture, especially with humans and things like that. But like part of me wonders if like their initial response to Feyre in like the first trial and even the second trial was like almost like a defense mechanism, or like, you know, them protecting themselves from like Amarantha's wrath, right? Of like, oh, we can't get our hopes up too high. Like this is a human, like us Fae haven't been able to like escape, let alone a fucking human, right? And then she gets to the final trial and like they're starting to realize like, oh, we actually maybe have a shot. We can actually kind of like maybe get our hopes up, right?
Yeah.
So part of me wonders if that's like why they're so quiet and reverent, but then also it could just be like they were true Fae in the beginning and like we want blood. And now they're realizing like, yeah, no, she could actually help us.
Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if it's kind of like a combo, because it's almost like, because I agree, I feel like it was almost like a self-preservation thing. Because also we have to remember that like these fairies, those who were truly, truly, truly imprisoned, like Fae
Mm,
that do not want to be any part of Amarantha or whatever. There is a particular game that they have been having to play under the mountain to like stay alive. So I
yeah,
almost wonder if it was just like part of the game of like we
yeah,
can't immediately show that we're team human
right.
right away. Like we can't do that. And why like and then also what you said too though of like why would we believe that this human would be able to accomplish whatever? Like why would we think that? We might as well just
Yeah.
like continue along with like our silly games. Like there's no way this is going to work. So yeah, I feel like it's a combo. And it's funny while you were talking I was thinking about how like in the later books Feyre will meet different fairy who are like I was under the
Oh, yeah.
mountain.
Yeah,
And she always has a moment of like I wonder if they were the ones betting against me or, like she like
yeah,
I don't know if it's with every single one, but I do feel like there's one at least that she has this thought where she's like, who were you under the mountain? Like,
right.
were you one of those ones who bet against me and then like sent me a gesture of respect at the end? Like,
Yep.
so it is interesting how this switch kind of plays into the series later. I mean, this task alone haunts Feyre for the rest of the series. I
Yeah,
mean, it is way more prevalent in Mist and Fury, which makes
yeah,
sense because it's the book right after this.
yeah.
But she really carries this with her, this
I mean,
task.
it gets talked about quite a bit in
Mhm.
Frost and Starlight
Oh,
because when
true,
she gets
true.
the studio and is painting and all that, like I think that might be when she paints because I think she does eventually paint the female
She
Fae.
paints the female. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I want to say that happens in Frost and Starlight.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, depending on whether or not we get any more Feyre POV books, because that's a big question right now. Is like, are
Yeah.
we gonna get another one? Like, I don't think this will ever fully leave her, right? And like,
No.
I think what's so sad about it is like, it's not her fault,
Mm-mm.
right? Like we actually talked about in the spoiler free episode how accidentally this is the trolley problem, right? Like I
Yeah.
didn't even mean to keep bringing that up throughout this podcast, and then realize like, oh, this is literally the trolley problem.
Yeah.
Um, and she just she made it an impossible decision, right? Like there was no good decision. Well, I mean, this was the best decision, right?
Yes.
But there's no like fully good decision where everyone comes out unscathed,
No.
right? Um, and like, we talked about how yes, she thinks she's making a selfish decision because she's saving herself and Tamlin, but ultimately she's actually saving the majority of the Fae.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm glad in this chapter that she like eventually gets to that headspace of like, oh wait, actually like it's not just for Tamlin and I. Like
Yeah.
this is for all of Prithian.
Yep.
Um like I love the quote that I used
Mm,
in the spoiler free of just the like, you know, the color of the kid's eyes and like how
yeah.
it's the color of the sky and a sky he'll never see again if I kill him. And then she's like, well, it's also a color of the sky that none of us will see. All these people here won't see if I don't kill him. So like there's a lot of back and forth that she does. And I'm glad that she does reach a place that like it is bigger than her and Tamlin.
I just realized something really fucking sad.
What?
At the end of chapter 41, I think it is, when the music has been sent down to her by Rhys,
Yeah.
she daydreams of going into the sky.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
she sees the sky in this female's eye. Like, oh
Yeah.
my god, that's so fucking sad.
It is very sad. Because I think, Sky is such a representation of like freedom.
Yeah.
But yeah, that definitely adds another layer. I mean, all of her painting imagery with the victims and stuff and I don't know, in case you guys forgot, this task is the one where she has to kill 3 Fae. And
Yeah.
it's just yeah, it's so wildly brutal. And I think it's kind of beautiful the things that she finds to like get herself through. Like just the
Mhm.
idea that she'll be painting these fairies forever. Oh, also the having to grab a new dagger every time.
Oh, that was something I'd forgotten, and she even says, like, this was purposeful, like,
Oh,
Amarantha wanted me to remember every time
yeah, because it's
what I
just
was
such
doing.
an extra when you're experiencing traumatic things, any extra body movement to,
Yep,
like, further that trauma along is
it, like,
just
locks it in.
horrific. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so the fact that every time she had to grab it, like, it's such an extra brutal thing. Um, but yeah, it is wild because I don't know if this just, like, makes me, like, super dark or, like, whatever, but, like, I almost, like, wish it didn't hang on Feyre as much as it does throughout the
Oh,
series.
I don't think that's dark, I think that's, like, natural, like, we love her and we don't want her to be in pain.
Because exactly, it's like, anytime that she kind of rehashes this in the other books,
Yeah.
I've always been like, "Girl, what the fuck else were you supposed to have done?" I mean, yes, it is very much a two true scenario, right? What
Yes.
Ariel and I love this, and honestly, anyone struggling with their mental health, once you accept the idea of two truths, it helps a lot.
So much. Yes,
So it
yes.
is a two true scenario where it's
Yeah.
like it is a horrific thing that absolutely makes sense that it's breaking her apart inside. But I would also love for her to be painfully aware of the fact that she literally had no other choice.
Yeah.
And especially with how this eventually goes down, with Amarantha getting killed, the curse being broken, her turning into a fae, and then basically finding her mate because of that. It's like, baby girl, you wouldn't have any of the shit that you have now if you did
Yeah.
not do this.
Oh,
Um,
well, she
yeah.
says it is this chapter she starts to believe in fate,
Mhm.
right? Which is that's what that is. I mean,
Mhm.
like, her and Rhys are fated to be like, I think it's in Mist and Fury where he talks about this, like, his mom basically having foresight, right? Like, the power of
Mhm.
foresight,
Mhm.
and she prophesizes Feyre.
Yeah.
And, like, I forgot exactly how she said it's in this very, like, cryptic way that I think
Yeah.
she doesn't even understand, and
Yeah.
so Rhys is like, "I have no idea what you're talking about," and it's what's crazy to think is that when she prophesies that, Feyre probably wasn't even born yet,
Probably not.
and even if she was still a human.
Yeah.
So, like, the only explanation really is fate,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, like, this was predestined.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this a bit in the spoiler-free episode, but, like, I think one this is actually aside from, all the plot points that happen in this
Yeah.
chapter, I think this is one of the biggest character development chapters for Feyre
Mhm.
because I think she has basically a spiritual awakening kind of in
Yeah.
this chapter in multiple senses of the word, like, because spiritual awakenings can also be very dark,
Yeah.
right? And, like, her killing these two fae really changes who she is
Yep.
as a person. And but then because of all this, she begins to believe in fate. Like,
Yeah.
the let me just find the quote. She says on page 396, she says, this is the part when she realizes that Tamlin's heart is stone. Like,
Right.
she has this big kind of flash of insight, right?
Yeah.
When she, like,
Crazy.
gets to him crazy.
Mhm.
And she says, but there was a faint smile on Tamlin's lips as I stood over him, ash dagger in hand. There was such a thing as fate, because fate had made sure I was there to eavesdrop when they'd spoken in private, because fate had whispered to Tamlin that cold, contrary girl he dragged into his home would be the one to break his spell, because fate had kept me alive just to get to this point, just to see if I'd been listening. And I think she's right. Like, fate is a very interesting concept for, like, us humans,
Yeah.
right? And, like, in a non-fictional world especially, but we're talking about fiction here.
Right.
And so, like, fate, I think it's canon that fate exists in the world of Prithian.
Mhm.
Um and yeah, like, we've talked about this before, like, Feyre had to go through Tamlin, her romance with Tamlin in order to meet Rhys.
Yeah.
She had to die in order to become Rhys's mate. And like, this is not to say that's her only purpose. That's not all what I'm saying. But like, it's her being with Rhys is a big part of who she is or who
Well, I
she
mean,
becomes.
she becomes High Lady.
Exactly.
Like, I think, we do get all really caught up with because it's a romantasy, of
Yes.
course. We get really caught up with like the relationship of it all. But if you really
Yeah.
want to pull it apart, she was fated to be the first High Lady to change the way that Prithian goes about things and their ideas about humans and the
Yeah.
relationship with humans
Yeah.
and working together with different courts and all this stuff. Like, Feyre is the dawn of a new age,
Yes.
right? And so
Yeah.
if you want to take the male out of
Yeah.
it, right? If you want to take the romance out of it, she had to die to turn into who she was meant to be, which is this like new era of Prithian.
Yes.
And so like that's how I think you can kind of think about all of that, is that like this is, and Ariel brought it up so beautifully many 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 moons ago, of that this series is about becoming. And this first book, this is the intro,
Yeah.
basically. This is the uh what's the
Almost like
this
the
is this
prologue.
this is the origin story, right? This
Yes.
is the origin
Yes.
story. This is how she got to this place, and she needed to have this love with Tamlin. She needed to have all of this, because if she did not love Tamlin as fiercely as she did, she wouldn't have gone under the mountain.
Right.
She wouldn't have figured out about the Heart of Stone, because she wouldn't have cared as much about killing him.
She would have saved Prithian.
She wouldn't have solved the riddle. Like,
Right.
there's all of this was necessary to save Prithian. And I mean, it's funny actually, even you just saying to save Prithian, it's like that's what she was destined to be the savior of Prithian.
And to take it a step further, if Feyre hadn't gone through all of this, with Tamlin specifically, her sisters wouldn't have been thrown into the cauldron.
Yeah.
Nesta never would have resurrected the Dread Trove. I think
Yeah.
there's more in store for Nesta, honestly, because
Yes.
if you've read Crescent City, like, some theories, she wouldn't have created the first ever, like, made object, right?
Yeah. The Valkyries wouldn't be back.
The Valkyries want to be back. I think there's some stuff in store for Elaine that we're going to find out about in the next book and future
Yeah.
books. Like, these three women, they are so instrumental in the history of Prithian, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it has a lot to do with fate. If you've read the Massverse, there's some real interesting theories about it
Very interesting.
that I am so for, especially
Mhm.
particular ones. So yeah, you can actually absolutely take the males, whether it's Rhys or Cassian or whoever Elaine ends up with,
Yeah.
Tamlin, you can take them out, right? And still go, these three were fated
Yeah.
to do big things in Prithian.
Yeah.
But that part of that fate, for that fate to happen, it was necessary for these males to kind of come along the ride, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
they are really, like, it's funny because I think the males, again, whether it's Rhys or Cassian or Tamlin, like, they are in some ways in the narrative of this series, they're kind of the sidekicks,
Oh, 100%.
which
Yeah.
is great.
Well, that's what I overall love about Sarah J. Maas in general,
Yeah.
is that's every series.
Yeah.
Every series, you have these wildly powerful men.
Mhm.
Wildly powerful. Like, anyone who's read Crescent City, one of the dudes in there, he is like the I can't even fully wrap my head around actually his power. Yeah, some of these dudes are crazy powerful.
Yeah.
But they really do kind of play these like sidekick roles to these women, and not in a thing that honestly makes them any less powerful. Like,
No.
it's in this very kind of beautiful collaborative way of just like Sarah creates these relationships where like together they are better, they are stronger, they are more of a force.
Well, it's funny. There is only one that becomes less powerful, and it's Tamlin,
Yeah.
and it's because he doesn't want to share the power, right?
Yeah.
Or like not that I don't think it's like he doesn't want, he's afraid to share it, I think. He's afraid of like allowing Feyre to become as powerful as she becomes because he doesn't want to like I truly don't think it was
No.
I don't want her to be as powerful as
No.
me. I think is I'm afraid she's going to be hurt again,
I think he
which
was
is like
fearful for her.
yes.
And I think to allow her to train her new powers is admitting a lot of things that happen under the mountain. And I think one of the biggest things that we see with him in the next book is just him really not wanting to remember or acknowledge anything that happened under the mountain.
Yes, but it's still a form of control, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he's trying to control like her safety.
Yes.
And through him trying to control, he loses power in the sense of the rest of the High Lords start respecting him
Yeah.
less.
Yeah.
And then he allies with the bad guy and all that. So like I mean by the end of, cuz I don't think we really see him in Silver Flames, but by the end of oh no, we do. We do actually see him in Silver Flames. Nesta and Cassian go to visit him. And he's
Oh,
like a
God.
fucking wreck still. He's still in
Yeah.
beast mode. Like he is not doing well. So it's
Yeah.
funny how the one male love interest that tries to
Doesn't.
basically not be the sidekick
Yeah.
loses the most power, whereas the other two are like, "Hey, girl, like,
Do
like
your
they're
thing.
turned on, and they're turned on by their power, right?
Yeah.
They end up in such a healthier position.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting though, because I would actually argue that Feyre is one of the few female leads who doesn't enter the fray as much
Mm,
from like a physically fighting standpoint. Like
yeah,
she
yeah.
does, but she doesn't. It's not like,
It's not like Nesta who's like wielding ataraxia left and right.
yeah, or some of our female leads from the other books.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Feyre, just because like Akawar, she's like watching the battles, right?
Yes.
When I believe probably our other ladies would have been in the thick of it.
Yeah.
But I think that's more of just like an experience level thing because our two ladies in the other books have been trained since they were
Mm,
children to like fight,
yes.
and Feyre has not. Okay, I feel like I've gone off the rails a little bit
No,
here.
it's okay.
But anyway, yes, it is interesting that the one male who isn't kind of willing to collaborate
Yeah.
and work through the power and figure it out is the one that doesn't get the happy ending, which, that's I'm
Yet
sure Sarah did that very purposefully.
we'll see. We'll see
Yeah,
if
exactly.
he
Well, we'll see. We'll see what
if
happens,
he
but
evolves, but
yeah. But yeah, that is one of the things in chapter 44
yeah.
that I did not remember the
Yeah.
intensity of
Well,
Rhys.
and like you, the one and only time I've read this book, I powered through it.
Yeah,
And at that point, I didn't know Rhys was going to become
of course.
Feyre's mate. And so, yeah, I just did not clock that. And I mean, I think he actually talks about this. I mean, you've read it more recently than I have in chapter 54 of Mist and Fury,
Yeah.
where like he talks about the scene, I'm pretty sure. And like, yeah, it's pretty insane. I mean, he sacrifices himself.
Yeah.
He tries to kill Amarantha. I forgot that she almost kills him. But then I think what gets me more is Tamlin.
I was gonna say, I knew exactly what you were about. Just the timing and like the slowdown and the phrasing and the inflection. I was like, oh, she's about to go off on Tamlin.
No, and here's the thing. He has no excuse this time because Feyre does talk about after she stabs him, realizes his heart is stone. He starts healing, like maybe, yes, not as fast as normal,
Yeah.
but he's healing pretty quickly, right?
Right.
Rhys is getting his fucking bones crunched,
Yeah.
right? And he is still yelling Feyre's name. Like, I'm not even expecting Tamlin to necessarily try and get to Feyre.
No.
I'm just expecting some kind of reaction,
Yeah.
right? And the most that we get is him saying, Amarantha, stop this. Stop. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I said about Clithia all those years ago. Please. I'm like, bro. Like, bare minimum. Bare mins. This woman is the love of your life. Okay? And
That
like
impression was so brutal. That was so
because he
brutal.
fucking deserves it. It's the Feyre.
Yeah.
Feyre.
Yeah.
No, because like bare minimum, he's watching the supposed love of his life getting absolutely brutalized. Like at
Yeah.
this point, for those who don't remember, Amarantha is like telekinetically lifting Feyre into the air and then dropping her on the
Yeah.
ground, like
Yeah.
breaking all of her fucking like
Yeah.
Feyre keeps blacking out and Amarantha keeps making sure she doesn't so she feels everything.
Oh, yeah.
It is the worst of the worst, right?
It's so brutal.
And that's bare minimum. That's not even taking into account the fact that this human girl just won these 3 trials to save his fucking ass and his people.
Yeah.
And all he can muster up is Amarantha, stop this. Like,
Yeah.
fuck off, bro. Like,
Yeah. I mean, okay.
gavel, gavel.
Gavel. Fucking gavel.
Oh, here we go. I'm so
I
curious.
can't help it. I'm built weird, y'all. I can't help it.
I think it's because like truly I am your firstborn and like you like it's an instinct, right? Like you have to.
Like, okay, honey, let's just look at all the sides here.
Exactly. True.
Let's just try to see where they're coming from, you know? Maybe they're having a hard time at home. Okay. Obviously, majority of my feelings, I'm right there with you. I had such annoyance with him just being like, bro, just something. Like, something. But my gavel is I really feel like Tamlin, after he gets stabbed, I genuinely feel like he's in this like state of shock.
Fair.
Because it's like in his mind, it's finally over.
Right.
She knows everything now.
Yes.
She knows everything. She knows all of the parts of the curse.
Yeah.
And she figured it out on her own. And she stabbed him in the heart. But nothing's changing. Yeah, I just really feel like he's kind of in this like state of shock.
Sure.
That all of this is happening. But honestly, now that I'm even saying that, that's such a weak gavel. Like it feels so weak because it's just like you're in a state of shock, but yet like the love of your life supposedly is literally being tossed around like a fucking rag doll.
Yeah. I was going to say like
yeah.
maybe, there's flight, fight, or freeze. I'm like, okay, so that just means he's a freezer. But then I remember I'm like, no, he's a warrior.
Yeah, exactly. We know that he's not quite a freezer. In fact, we've actually even argued that we think the things he's better at is probably just putting his head down and running into battle, right? Like we've talked about that. So, and I have a slight bone to pick actually with Sarah. I think it's my first little thing.
Yeah.
Is that this whole healing quickly and then kind of not.
Yeah, it's a little
weird. It's a little confusing because in the beginning of the chapter, right, Feyre starts to feel confident she made the right choice because she starts to see that he's healing, right?
Yes.
But then a little bit later, what brings up a red flag is that he's not healing as fast. And then throughout this chapter, anytime Tamlin is brought up, it's like they bring it up like he's like bleeding out, that he's like fucking slowly dying in a corner. And you're like, well, wait. So
this brings up a great question.
Okay.
Is he actually not healing fast, or is this just Feyre's subjective lens, right? Because remember, this is all first person. It's all told through Feyre's point of view. So like she sees he physically at the beginning, like you said, he starts healing quickly. Like she can see that with her eyes. The rest of it is she just interpreting that it's not as fast as she thought it was because he's not reacting. And is that actually true, or is she just assuming that because she thinks, "Oh, my man would totally come and help if he could, and he's not, so he must not be okay," you know?
I don't know. That feels like a stretch. I'll be perfectly honest with I mean,
Fair.
no, I mean, like, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Um,
The only reason I bring it up is this I see this get discussed a lot, especially on, like, the Reddit, of, like, how
mm.
subjective Feyre's point of view is,
Yeah,
right?
fair.
And I do think there are other times, and we'll probably see some more in Mist and Fury, where, like, she gives Tamlin a lot more slack than he deserves because she's, like, so in love with him still.
Yeah.
And I really just wonder if I'd have to reread that again, the parts in this chapter where she's like, "Oh, he's not healing as quickly." Um, yeah, but it's interesting. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up about the stabbing in the heart, right?
Okay.
I wonder because I think it's pretty safe to assume, and actually, I want to say, do not quote me, but I want to say Sarah has said she'd always planned for Feyre and Rhys being mates
Yes.
since like day one. Do you think the final task being that she stabs Tamlin in the heart is foreshadowing that Feyre
Is not
sort
destined
of,
for Tamlin.
yeah, and basically, like, in a metaphoric way, stabs him in the heart when she leaves him, which is not blaming her, right? I think it's how
Absolutely.
he feels. Okay, cool. I'm not I was like, is this a stretch or
I don't think that's a stretch at all. I think especially as you've brought up before how she's kind of like the queen of foreshadowing
yeah.
and like this feels very foreshadowing of like because I truly believe that Feyre absolutely breaks Tamlin's heart
Yeah.
1,000%. So I feel
Yeah.
like I no, I don't think that's a stretch at all to
Okay.
feel like this is like a foreshadowing of like what will eventually happen of like for her to save herself and others, she basically has to break Tamlin's heart and like
Yeah.
move on, like go forward.
Yes. And I think it's so interesting that, like, assuming this is foreshadowing, which it sounds like it is, that Sarah chose, I mean, obviously there's a plot reason she chose to make his heart of stone,
Of
right?
course.
But, like, if you think about what it symbolizes, right? Because I think, like, sort of Feyre's journey, if we're thinking about it from, like, if we translate Feyre's journey, romantic journey that is, into a modern real world context,
Okay.
right? It's a story about a woman who starts off in love with an emotionally uh like an what's the word? An emotionally pretty emotionally unintelligent male,
Yeah.
right? Has to go through the heartbreak of realizing he is emotionally unintelligent and kind of emotionally abusive.
Mhm.
In that through that process has her own heartbreak, but also breaks his heart to end up with an actual good guy, right?
Yeah.
A guy who's meant for her, a guy who is emotionally intelligent, all of that.
Yeah.
I think, and I see this argued online quite a bit amongst the people who still stand Tamlin. There are people who like blame Feyre like a lot for breaking Tamlin's heart. And like there are people, I've seen very real world scenarios where like people will call the Feyre of a situation like this the bitch for like breaking the emotionally unavailable dude's heart, right? But at least in the context of this story and like a lot of instances I've seen in real life, a lot of it really comes down to the dude for being emotionally unavailable, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like this is I mean, it was kind of funny is like you putting it in like this sort of modern context. It sounds like
Yeah.
almost every rom-com that you've like
Yeah.
you've watched, right? Where
Yeah.
it's like the girl is with, maybe the kind of sweetheart jock, but he's actually like kind of a dick.
The nice guy, quote unquote, who really
Yeah.
isn't that nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she ends up dumping him for herself.
Yeah.
And while she's discovering herself, she finds this more emotionally available, but everyone's going to still be mad at her for dumping the guy, for
Yeah.
dumping the pretty boy, for dumping the, whatever. And I think, in this series, as we've discussed, it's a bit more complicated than that,
Yeah.
because we don't believe that Tamlin is like a true villain at all. He is
No.
just a very unfortunate victim of circumstance and makes really bad decisions.
Yes.
But I don't believe, yeah, we've said multiple times, deep down, I don't believe he is like a villain.
Right.
I believe he has made a lot of mistakes. Um,
Yes. And
but
I feel that's like a really real thing where like I think a lot of these guys for the most part aren't like real villains, but like they are responsible for their behavior, their
yeah,
shitty
yeah, and
behavior.
and here's the thing: people will always be, they will always be upset if someone that they think they know
Yeah.
gets their heart broken. Okay,
Yeah, of course.
that makes complete sense. I think that I will truly never understand when women are called bitches
Mm,
for leaving a relationship that was not benefiting them in any way. Relationships
truly.
should be benefiting both parties. Both
Yep.
parties should be getting something out of it. And if only
100%.
one party is getting something out of it, it is not an equal dynamic. It is not. And like, there's all these discussions too of like, you will never always have a 50-50 dynamic, right?
Right.
It'll kind of ebb and flow and all that sort of jazz of like how much a partner is giving at a particular amount of time, right? Like it'll sometimes
Yes.
it's 60-40, sometimes it's 20-80, sometimes it's 50-50, sometimes it's 0 to 100. Like we take turns. But if it is consistently one side is not getting even like 20%,
Yeah.
like it's just that person should leave. And
Yeah.
I will never understand, even if it's not the woman, even if it's the man who leaves, like
Yeah.
anyone being called a shitty name because you left a relationship to better yourself, like it just is beyond. I think the only time that you could really justifiably be called a shitty name is if it's like the way you did it.
Yes. Or, I'm at the sake of exposing myself, or if it's a situation I'm thinking very specifically because this happens more than once of like Ariana Grande and Ethan Slater, right? Ethan Slater
Yeah.
left his wife and children to go date a celebrity, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
okay, like something like, I mean, and I don't know them personally, so I can't fully say, but like, it's
Yeah.
like situations like that where it's like the person actually does have a pretty, as far as we know, decent relationship, maybe a family, and they're just like trying to get a piece of ass, basically,
Well, no, but
like,
exactly, like that to me doesn't fit into like even what we're talking about. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it's
yeah,
like when it is very specifically people trying to actually be in like the proper style of relationship. It's just
yeah,
like beyond it's beyond my understanding. And most of the time it's the friends of the person
yeah,
who is being dumped or left,
yeah,
and to admit that that person is right
mm-hmm,
means you have to admit something about your friend.
yes.
And I think it's funny that people get mad at Feyre for like breaking Tamlin's heart, because I'm a little like,
It baffles me. It
it
really
well,
baffles
it's just
me.
like, what is she supposed to have? She should have just stayed in a relationship that wasn't working for either of them. It
Yeah.
wasn't working for Tamlin either.
No.
Like,
Feyre wanted to, like, go out and, like, fly, basically,
yeah,
and he was so anxious about her even leaving the manor.
yeah. So it wasn't healthy for him either.
No.
Like, it's also to me like sometimes when people get down that route, I'm a little like, she's like the main character of this series, right? So like, what, you should probably stop reading then if you don't
Yeah.
like her. Like what? Don't put yourself through this pain. Like I've started
Yeah.
series where I could tell within the first 2 to 3 chapters I did not like the main character, and I stopped
Yeah.
because I was like, this is meant for people who are gonna love this girl, and I can already
Yes.
tell I hate her. So I
Yep.
am just not. I'm not gonna put myself through it. It's not for me. It's not
Yeah.
written for me.
And that's okay. Not
And
everything
that's
is for
okay.
all of us.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's
it
strange.
really it's so funny because, like, I see it off quite often, but David, because like, David's on Reddit.
Right.
But, and, like, I don't know how he ended up here, but he ended up on, I forgot, I think it's called Tamlinism,
Oh
the
gosh.
subreddit, and it's just like all like hardcore Tamlin stands. And it's like he's read me some of the posts and it's they're pretty frightening. And again, we say this as people who don't actually we don't hate Tamlin.
No.
Like we think he's like a very well written, like complex character. But
Tragedy.
he tragedy, right? But he fucks up spectacularly, and we're not gonna make excuses for his
No.
fuck ups. We
No.
hope he betters himself,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And we can already begin to see the beginnings of that
Well, because
in Silver Flames.
yeah, well, because I actually believe that I think the reason why to us Tamlin is somewhat redeemable is because I do believe that he feels guilt for his
Yeah.
actions. I do
Yes.
believe that he feels like what he did was wrong.
That's why
And
he saves
that
Rhys.
exactly. And that to me, that is what makes someone redeemable is
Yeah.
when they do start holding accountability for what they've done and they want to change.
Yeah.
It's when they aren't holding accountability and they don't want to change, that to me is when you're like a true villain. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, you just have
Well,
no kind of yeah,
and that's the Amaranthas, right?
exactly.
Like that's well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Sarah really makes it clear who is like the true villains
Yes.
of her series. I think the only exception where at least I didn't really see the small redemption this character got um until like towards the very end was one of the villains of Throne of Glass, the first villain.
Oh yeah.
Uh yeah. And even that, I think that's kind of by design. It's a bit of a twist.
Well, it's yeah, it's a bit of a twist. She also loves I think she still loves having like really gray
Yeah.
characters and really gray situations.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that the like stab in the heart. I'd never thought about it that way of the foreshadowing of all of that is like
Yeah.
because it is like I still do think it's sad when she like has to like end things with Tamlin. Like it's hard
Oh,
because there's
yeah.
a part of you is just so like, oh yes, queen, get away. Like, but when she has to write that like official letter, like it still hurts. It still
Oh,
feels bad.
as someone who has
Right.
avoided breaking up with almost every person I've been with, uh, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, breaking up is hard because
Yeah.
even if you want out, you're like, "Ugh, I feel like a dick." Like,
Yeah.
so the other thing that was some future book foreshadowing that I was really surprised to see was on page 394. Amarantha has this like little monologue and she's talking about like if you kill Tamlin, he's free, and then you can have him all to yourself, blah blah blah. She says, there though a few months ago you hated our kind enough to butcher us. Surely you'll move on easily though. Jurian's human lover did. And I was like, we get our first mention of Miriam.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like, I remember when Miriam and Draken get
Yeah.
introduced in ACOMAF, and kind of I think I felt sort of like, "Oh, this is, like, a new development,"
Yeah.
right? But to see that she absolutely had planned it even back in Thorns and Roses, I was like, "Oh, shit, no, it's established."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think do you first hear about them in ACOMAF? I mean,
I
in
think so. I think they're only mention no, oh, yeah, because I think maybe it's Aquawar. I know at some point they're thinking about going to the island, but they don't yet. And then
because they
eventually
can't find it.
they can't
Well, no,
find
no,
it.
no, no. I know. I mean, they can, but the island is actually shielded, so where it
Right.
looks like it's abandoned, but in
Right.
actuality, they were all there.
Right. And I think what's kind of interesting is we've heard so much about Jurian and Clithia, right?
Mm.
And then this whole like third
Yeah.
person is like thrown in there. And
Mm.
so I mean, another love triangle, first
Yeah.
off. Um, it is really interesting and it makes you go like, huh, what's that about? If
Yeah.
you haven't read the book. So I thought that was interesting and a little bit of fun.
Well, it's also just interesting how, and I realize that I don't think we talked about this in the spoiler
Mm,
episode for last week, but like with the pig guy,
yeah.
we're like the wall goes down, right? Like,
Yeah.
the King of Hybern gets rid of the wall, and the idea is that they're going to, start, like, slaughtering the humans, right? We're
Right.
basically being told about that in this book,
I
in
know.
that chapter of them talking about getting their forces and getting all of this stuff, and it was just like, "Oh, wow." Like, for someone who the first time I read this series, and once I finished ACOTAR and I got into the other books, and then when the King of Hybern got mentioned, I was like, "Who is this guy?" The
Right.
fact that I, like, completely forgot about him, and the fact that Sarah basically tells us what's gonna happen later, like, in this book is, like, so insane to me, because you just get so caught up in, like, all of the more prevalent things that are happening that you just completely forget about these little, like, pieces of information.
She's so good at bearing actually, like, wildly important shit
And for yeah.
in into, like, moments where it's like we can't, and we talked about in the spoiler-free episode, so in chapter 44? Yeah, 44 of this, um, it's the part where Amarantha is, like, breaking all of Rhys's bones.
Oh my god.
And on page 401, Feyre says, "The bond between us went taut. I flashed between my body and his, seeing myself through his eyes, bleeding and broken and sobbing." And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's their first, like, I feel true Daemati moment, even though I
Moment.
know she's not Fae yet, but
Yeah.
like she's seeing through his eyes. Like
Yeah.
that will become wildly important. And like in the spoiler free episodes, we brought it up, but we're like, we don't even have the time to think about this because of the fact that Feyre's dying.
Yeah, no.
Like,
You have no time to think about this. Well, and what's funny though is that this is what happens at the end of the book,
yeah,
where she talks about how she feels like she's, like, floating above herself, and she's, like, watching
yeah,
the whole thing, and it's like, and we find out much later that really the thing that keeps Feyre alive is Rhysand. Their
yeah,
bond, the
yes,
slight tether he still has to her soul, is what
yep,
allows them to revive Feyre. So, yeah, it is, because this bond basically saves her life again.
yeah. Again,
But yeah, no, it is like, I had that same moment too during this read where I was like, "Oh my god, wow, yeah, we, like, it's our first little sprinkle. It's our
yeah,
first little, like, moment of basically what their lives are gonna be like, but this, like, specifically POV moment."
yeah,
Yeah, I kind of forgot that I forgot that it happened before her death. Like,
yeah,
I know, like, the next chapter specifically is when all of that
yes,
description is gonna start happening, and I knew that that was the bond. But yeah,
yeah,
when this came up in this chapter, I was like, "Oh, dang, she gives us
yeah.
just a little spice before."
Yeah. I mean, and just his reaction in general to this whole
Dude, him, like,
scene.
screaming and roaring, and what's so wild is this moment of him wanting to, like, kill Amarantha. I think it's way more for just to protect Feyre.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
think this is why I got so on Tamlin's case because, like, in that moment, Rhys, the unsaid thing is that Rhys basically blows his cover,
Yeah.
and his entire cover has been to protect everyone in the night court, to protect the fucking squad,
Yeah.
right? Like, we gotta remember he has Mor and Cassian and Amarin and
Valeris.
Az, Valeris. Like, he blows that cover for a woman he doesn't even realize to the full extent that he's in love with
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
And Tamlin, who knows he's in love with Feyre. Just go, "Stop it, Amarantha." Like,
Yeah,
just
no, I
please
know.
stop.
Like, and it's kind of wild because I do think that during my first read, I do think Under the Mountain is when I was very slowly starting to become disappointed in Tamlin.
Same.
And
Yeah.
I do remember this sequence of just being like, nothing. All right, we're getting nothing from you.
Yep.
This homie over here,
Doing the most.
okay, but just nothing. Cool.
Yeah. It
Thanks.
feels and I wonder if this is why people still hang on to Tamlin a bit. Some people. If you've ever been in a relationship where it's like subconsciously early on, or not even early on, but like before you break up, before it ends, you're kind of subconsciously feeling it, right? That's I think that's what's so fascinating with the series is like that's what she's doing with even this book, like starting under the mountain of like
Yeah.
you're getting those first inklings of like,
Tapping
oh,
out.
yeah, exactly. And it's like, and you're in such denial of it too. Cause like
Yeah.
I do remember having those feelings, but I was like, yeah, but no, like he's gonna, there's gotta be a reason, right? He's
Yeah.
gonna redeem
Yeah.
himself. Like we're gonna find out
Or,
some
like,
crazy
maybe she's
thing.
just a bad writer.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
had moments, honestly, in the beginning of reading this series where I was like, "I don't know if I really like what this writer is, like, doing with
Yeah.
this, like, romance character here."
Yeah.
Like, I really, in the beginning, kind of was, like, blaming it on Sarah. And then when you get the payoff of
Yeah.
Rhys, you're like, "Oh."
She's actually brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be able to encapsulate the like an emotionally abusive relationship in the way she does with
Yeah.
Tamlin is it's I don't think I've ever really seen as strong of an example in anything
It's
else I've read.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, we've talked about it so many times, but it is still just so astounding of, like, she really gets you into that space because, like, we were all making excuses for Tamlin, and,
Yep.
like, she really does show you, like, how you can so slowly get there,
Yeah.
and how all of a sudden you turn around and you find yourself in this situation that you never could have convinced yourself of before, like, was real, you know?
Well, and I think that's what's so smart about it is like I think a lot of people who've never been in emotionally abusive relationships don't they're not able to conceive of how anyone can quote unquote let themselves get there, right?
Right.
And they just think like, well, why would you be with a clearly abusive person? It's like it doesn't they don't start off typically
Yeah.
abusive off the bat. It's the love bombing and then it goes from love bombing to like they withhold a lot of their affection toward because like that is kind of what he's doing here. Like it's not withholding affection, I guess, but it's withholding fighting for your person, right?
Yeah. I mean, I almost feel like though this moment I totally see the route that like you're going down because
Yeah.
I definitely feel like Tamlin like kind of unwittingly, but like he
Yeah.
kind of starts withholding particular things, information, different stuff from
Yes.
Feyre. But I mean, I feel like this moment is more of the emotional abuse in the sense of like this is his best.
Yeah.
This is all he can do.
Yes. At
And
least for
that
Feyre.
for Feyre, exactly.
Yeah.
And that is wildly disappointing,
Yes.
right? And then for her to what's emotionally abusive about it is that now this is what she believes is his best for her,
Yes. And
right?
that is what abusers do.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't think Tamlin
No.
is even conscious of what
No.
he's doing. But
No.
guess what? There's a lot of abusers out there who aren't,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know if I would argue that right now I would qualify what he is doing as emotional abuse.
No, I
I
think it's
think
just the
it's just
beginning.
I think it's the beginning. I
Yeah.
think right, but to your point, this is how it starts. Like I don't believe
Yes.
that like emotionally abusing partners have always been emotionally abusing like partners. I believe
No.
that they kind of like they just like the relationship slowly gets there. I think they slowly get there.
They stop
And
showing up
they
and
stop showing
then
yeah, and they start kind of doing certain manipulation tactics to, like,
yep.
kind of get their way, and it could start off with really great intentions
Yeah.
of protection, which
Yep.
is where this starts with Tamlin, but I think, like, the way that how you continue to go down that path is what ends up making you the abuser, and again,
Exactly.
I agree, I don't think Tamlin and there's many other people who I don't think they believe they're abusers, but that doesn't change the fact of the matter of that it happened and you did do it. Like, it doesn't
Exactly.
whether you meant to or not, the fact of the matter is it occurred.
Yep.
It is a factual thing that happened. You can't change that. So,
And then it comes out even stronger when it's juxtaposed by someone who's not even with her yet, who is literally laying down his life for her.
laying down his life
Like,
for her.
and not just his life in terms of like, it belonging to him, but him his protection for
Yeah,
his realm.
exactly.
Like, it's wild.
It is so wild. Like, I really did not remember the level that Rhys gets in this chapter. Like, and it's so funny. And I think a big portion we got to really clock that is because of the process of this podcast. Like Ariel and
Yeah.
I are very much reading it in the chunks that we are asking like our readers to. And what's cool is it did force us to like sit with these chapters. Like normally you just
Yeah.
like rage through these last
Yeah.
couple chapters, but yeah, like this it really made me be like, "Oh wow, like Rhys has been kind of fighting the good fucking fight." Like when this dude decides, he decides, right? Like
Yes,
when
he
he decides
commits.
that there's like something that he like cares about, like holy god, it's insane.
There, like the cauldron can't even stand between him and whatever it
Yeah,
is.
honestly.
Like it's literally too, actually, if you think
Yeah.
about it. But I think, I mean, again, and I'll say it till the cows come home. It's why I just until it happens, which I don't think it will, I just can't get on board with this idea that Rhys is a bad guy.
No, you know what's interesting though is D and I had a had a very
Mm,
fascinating conversation, whether we keep this in the pod or not. But
yeah.
um the we had this discussion about how because Sarah has said how there is gonna be like a big betrayal.
Okay, I have a quick question before you
Yeah,
continue.
go.
Is that because I've seen that a lot too?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen the direct quote.
I haven't either.
So do we actually know if that's true?
Oh, it's a very good point. I have no
Because I've
idea.
I've only seen it in like internet lore spaces,
Oh,
basically.
fascinating. Good
Yeah.
point, Ariel. We should really do our due diligence, shouldn't we,
Yes.
on like
Yeah,
figuring out if
yeah,
this is a
yeah.
real quote.
But
Well,
let's just say,
in
for
the
the sake of
guise
argument,
of
it is.
this, it's a
Yes.
real in the guise of this little story, it's a real quote.
Yeah.
And Dee and I were talking about it. And we kind of got to this place of like, let's say that it does have to do with Rhysand.
Yes.
And kind of going into the headspace of Rhysand being a bad guy, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah.
We both agreed that if there was ever any kind of betrayal from Rhysand,
Yeah.
it would not be this like long game. He's been this bad guy this whole time.
Nope.
It would be this like him getting tricked or put into some situation where he thinks Feyre and Nyx are in danger. And
Yes.
he has to do some vile fucking thing to save them.
Yes.
And like that, and then it's going to turn out that like it was all a lie just to get Rhys to do X, Y, and Z or like whatever.
Yep.
But we were discussing that we felt like that would be the only way that a believable quote unquote betrayal from Rhysand would happen.
I
Like,
1,000% agree.
yeah, we were both saying like she's on in our camp of like he's not playing this fucking long game of like
No.
no, like she is his end all be all and
Well,
to a fault, right? Like we've seen
yeah.
it that actually sometimes it's like bad how much he kind of worries for
Prioritizes her.
her.
Yeah.
And I mean, even their stupid fucking bargain that they make
Yeah.
eventually of like when you go, I go,
Yes.
which is
Yeah, that
just
alone.
I mean,
Like,
it's so unbelievably romantic, but it is so
yes.
unbelievably stupid for two leaders to make that kind of a bargain. Like, I love
Yes.
it when they first say it and Amaranth's just like, you idiot." Like
I
she is just like,
know.
"You absolute." She calls him like a fool or she says some
Yeah.
really good like, "You are just." I think she calls them infants or something. Like she just gets
God, I
like,
love her.
"You are just." And it's funny because in that moment you're like, "Oh, she's actually right. That's wildly
Yeah.
irresponsible."
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, so if anything happens to Rhys, Feyre is gone.
Like, the
Like,
Night Court loses both its leaders.
yeah, both its leaders, Nyx loses both of his parents.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
it's
because
like,
that was made before Nyx too.
yeah.
So,
So, I mean, I think that alone proves that, like, I think Rhys becomes extremely unhinged when it
yeah.
comes, not unhinged, obviously, in the like the Tamlin way where he starts being like like abusive.
Like, unhinged in the Amarantha way.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, here's to entertain that theory that
Yeah.
he's playing this long game.
Well,
It's such a like, he would be risking at multiple stages in these books. Like, like his long game would make no sense,
it would make
basically.
no sense. It would bring me back to thinking that Sarah is not a good writer
Exactly.
because I would just
Exactly.
be like, "What? This doesn't make any you did this purely for shock value, and that's cheap, and now I don't like you or this series anymore.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
think, okay, if we're talking about the betrayal in terms of Rhys, right? I think there's a few theories I've seen about him. I won't say what because I don't want to spoil stuff, but like him being different creatures from
Okay.
different series.
Yeah.
There's one theory about Throne of Glass, and there's one theory about Crescent City.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
more, if anything, I'm more towards the Crescent City
Me too.
theory. And all I'm going to say is those guys are proven to not be bad guys,
I was gonna
as we
say
now know.
I was gonna say
And that
that
one I can
that
see is
doesn't
possible.
actually that one feels more possible and honestly would be
Yes.
kind of interesting.
I think would be so interesting. I think it would also explain why he looks like a certain someone from Crescent City.
Well, I also think that it would make a ton of sense, mainly just because of a lot of like uh Hewn City, a
Mhm.
lot of the imagery, a lot of
Yep.
the vibes towards Night Court,
Yep.
like and yeah, we learn that some of the that they actually are like
The good
fighting for the
guys.
people. Like
Yes.
they're the fighting for the everyman. They're fighting
Yeah.
for the little guys, for the underdogs, which is Rhysand to like a fucking T. So
Exactly.
that one to me is way more
Possible.
on
I
track.
would not I wouldn't consider that a betrayal. I think the only maybe part of betrayal would be like if he knew and didn't tell anyone, but I
I don't
still
think
don't
he
think that's a
knows.
betrayal. If we're talking true betrayal, there are two strong possibilities,
Okay.
I think, neither of which have to do with Rhys. I think
Okay.
the first one has to do with Amarin, and that she too is, we've talked about this, I won't say on pod because again, no spoilers, but that she is either
Yeah.
something from Crescent City or the child of something from Crescent City. That would be a pretty big betrayal. I think the other possibility, and this one I think is possibly stronger, is that Elaine ends up with Tamlin. Because think
Mm,
about it, that's a betrayal on multiple levels. First off, everyone hates Tamlin right
yeah.
now. So there's that. But two, she gets with her sister's ex.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
that's a
my god, why has no
betrayal.
one thought of that?
I don't
Because you're
know.
right, that is still a betrayal. That is absolutely
Yes,
a betrayal. But I mean, it's like a
it's a fixable betrayal.
it's one I would choose.
Absolutely.
Like I think even Feyre
I think, yeah.
I actually think Feyre will be if this is what happens, I think she'll have a
Yeah.
moment of like, "What the fuck?" And then I
Yeah.
think she'll be like, "Absolutely." I think
Well,
Nesta is gonna be the one
oh, Nesta will breathe fire.
I think
I
Nesta is
think
gonna be the one who is like, "Absolutely not."
they're gonna have to keep Ataraxia away from her for a while while she's
Yeah,
around Tamlin.
absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, that's so funny though. Why have we not thought about that? I think that's a really good
I
point.
guess this could be a separate betrayal, or it could actually pair with the Elaine one. Is if Tamlin and Lucian have been swapping places.
Yeah, so that to me, because that is a huge betrayal.
Yeah, and
Um,
and that Tamlin is actually Elaine's
Elaine's
mate
mate.
and not Lucian, and he is anamorphin into
Yeah.
Lucian and vice versa. I couldn't think of the words that for some reason the anamorphin just came to mind.
Do you remember those books?
I never actually read them, but I know the like now I'm
The
just
cover,
picturing
how they would have them like
but I'm picturing it starts off as
wait,
Tamlin and then becomes like,
stay well.
oh no.
Stay well. What a chaotic episode.
I'm now
But
picturing the covers, but instead of an animal, I'm picturing Tamlin
Tamlin
morphing into
morphing
a
into
tiny
Lucian.
Lucian.
Okay, if any of you guys don't know what we're talking about, Google like the books Animorphs. I
Yeah.
think it's plural. And
Yeah.
they're really popular in the 90s. And it was literally
Yeah.
about like kids who could like change into animals.
Basically what Tamlin does.
Yeah, and the covers
The wildest
literally
covers.
would have like a step by step image of the like kid slowly turning. Like you got a photo of like every stage. Like it's like if you tried to draw a flip book
Yeah.
of them turning and you just made them images right next to each other. That's what the covers were. And they were wild.
They
Honestly,
got
some of
really
them still
weird.
kind of haunt my dreams, I'll be honest with
Yeah.
you.
Like, because you have like the first couple images would be like, okay, they're still
Uh
relatively human. And then the
and
last two is like, okay, it's
but
clearly an animal. The
the
middle one,
middle
it'd be like a half kid, half rat. You
yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah,
you're just like,
yeah,
what
yeah,
is going on
yeah.
here? Like, if you've ever been to a Scholastic Book Fair, you've
Oh
probably
my
seen
god, get the fuck out of my head. I
Were you gonna
literally
say
was just about to say the book fairs, bro.
Look, take me back, right?
Look, take me what a dream. Do they still do
What a dr
that?
I don't know.
Literally
Do kids
teaching
still read
teaching
books?
teaching kids to love going to a bookstore is basically what
Truly.
it did. No wonder all of us millennials love, like, just going to a bookstore in the
Ugh,
morning. We were
don't
trained at a young age.
border books, don't threaten me with a good time.
Holy shit, that's all
Like
I did in junior high.
Yep.
Me and my 2 gals, oh my god, we would just go to Borders and hang out. What were we
So
doing?
good. Nothing, just reading.
Nothing, just reading.
It was so wholesome back
It was.
then.
It was also, like, prime Twilight time, so we were, like,
Oh,
in it.
don't even get me started on Twilight.
All
You
right.
know me and Twilight.
Anyway,
We are getting wildly off topic from this
yeah,
book.
so I guess just to bring it back, we talked
Yeah.
about the betrayal.
Yeah, I think okay, so, like, I think if anything, I think the most plausible betrayals really have to do with either Amryn or
Lucian and
Elaine.
Tamlin.
Yeah, Lucian, Tamlin, Lane, that kind of combo. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people think more. I'm not yet convinced personally. I'm not
Again,
convinced.
but I'm also I have to admit, Sarah has shown us a betrayal that we all got over really quickly.
The Tamlin with Feyre?
Amarin. Amarin
Okay,
with
in
the cauldron in
but
Aquawar.
okay, I'm gonna argue. I don't think that's a betrayal because she sacrificed herself. There was that
Oh,
moment where
eventually she sacrificed herself.
yeah, but the whole point was like she was tricking Feyre so that Feyre wouldn't stop her from sacrificing herself. The whole plan was to always sacrifice herself, and she knew Feyre wouldn't let her go through with it. So she like she pretended she was betraying her, so she'd be distracted by that. Meanwhile, she took a fucking nosedive into the cauldron. Yeah,
Oh. Thank you for properly, like, explain I have clearly, still to this
yeah.
day, really not understood that moment. I have been
Yeah, no.
wildly confused with what actually happened.
She did like a little bait and switch there, and I so much is going on that I totally see why people forget. Like she didn't actually
It's
betray
insane.
them.
Well, no, and
Yeah,
that's why I always have this moment of, like, I mean, like, whatever, like,
yeah,
everything's fine. Everyone's alive. I don't care.
yeah.
Like,
Truly,
everything's fine.
yeah, but no. The whole point was she wasn't actually betraying them. She
Okay.
just knew
She was
there
just
was
being a
no
little trickster.
exactly.
Okay.
With more, I think more is a red herring. Honestly, for like, I
Yeah.
think we're supposed to think she's gonna be the betrayal, but I think that's all a red herring.
Well, I think that's like where I was really gonna go to was just like I also wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of this weird thing where it's like a betrayal that like everybody gets over.
Yeah, it
You know what
could
I
be
mean?
that. It could be that. I think again, we gotta check her sources, make sure Sarah did actually say there's gonna be a
Yeah.
betrayal. Assuming she did, I don't know. I think if she's saying the word betrayal, I think it's gonna be like a true betrayal. Not maybe eventually they get over, especially if it's like the Elaine, Lucian, Tamlin thing.
Yeah.
Um, if it's the Amaranth thing I'm thinking of, that's gonna be a little harder. With more, I think, and maybe this is just because I am a queer woman.
Yeah.
The way I read more going off a bunch in Silver Flames is like we got to remember in Akawar, she still feels betrayed by Rhys letting her
Yeah.
dad, even though like and like he makes it so Kier really can't come
Yeah.
to Valeris. Like the fact that he still did that probably hurts more, and it makes it feel like an unsafe space for her.
Well, and she's
And
also
so
still closeted.
exactly. She's
She's
so
only come
yeah,
out to
oh, right.
Feyre.
That's so true,
Yeah,
and so
she's
she's
still
probably
very
processing all that.
closeted. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I could see her needing some time to process and, like, that's why she keeps going off, but I really think it's gonna be either Amryn or Elaine, Lucian, Tamlin.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be Rhys.
I don't either. I think it's actually weirdly fun to like not fun, maybe. I think it's weirdly like validating to see Rhys be this intense about Feyre
Yeah.
in this book
Yep.
because it does make Mist and Fury some of his actions. We've already started the path, you know. The
Yeah.
stepping stones have already been laid. So like
Yes.
it's kind of nice to see like how intense he gets and honestly, I'm just really excited to finish the book.
Ugh, Well, on that note,
Yeah.
actually, chapters for next week are the last two, 45 and 46. We are ending Thorns and Roses. Wowie kazowie has it been a journey.
What a time.
Like, I actually enjoyed the reread a lot more than I thought I mean, I knew I would enjoy because I love the series, but like, Thorns and Roses is like kind of the least favorite child of the
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
Um, especially when my favorite one, or one of my favorite ones is next. So it's
Yeah.
like at first I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to get to Mist and Fury," but now I'm kinda like, "It was a fun little reread. I liked it."
Good. Good. Yeah,
So,
and I mean, I feel like you are much more mature about all the Tamlin stuff than I think many of us were in our first reread, so
I I surprised myself,
yeah. Yeah.
honestly. I think it healed something in me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I don't have quite the, like, personal experience that, like, you do, but I think it kinda healed something in me too, actually. I think
Yeah.
it's fascinating to reach a place of being able to not excuse someone,
Mhm.
but to at least work through the reasons as to why, you know?
I think we all have a Tamlin in our life, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic
Yeah.
Tamlin.
Yes.
It could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be a coworker, it could
Yeah.
be anyone.
Yeah.
So I feel like this book for that reason is kind of weirdly healing.
Yeah. Especially the
But
reread.
yeah, the
Yeah.
specifically the
The
reread.
reread, I think, is the
Um,
healing part. But yeah.
well, if you want to continue this reread with us,
Yeah.
we would love it if you subscribed, rated, reviewed us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, and now iHeartRadio. Yay! Uh,
Yay.
you could also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Cauldron Save Us Pod. Especially that because we are going to take a hiatus. We'll announce it next week. But we are going to take a hiatus between this season and next season with
Mhm.
Mist and Fury. But we might hop on still and like do some theory videos or fun
Yeah.
maybe some more fuck Mary kills if we
Yeah.
can think of any, because I think we might have done it to everyone at this point.
Yeah.
No, we haven't done one for like Miriam and Draken actually. Miriam, Drake, and Jurian. Ooh, okay. Gotta do that one. Gotta do that one.
Okay.
I think I know my answer.
I do too.
And you can email us at cauldronsaveus@gmail.com. Last one. Going to
Last
last
one.
one.
Last
Oh.
one. Well, as always, you're welcome.
And we're sorry. Bye, guys.
Bye.